New Zealand goes across to the far sideline. Prue Plummer on this. New Zealand to begin the match in possession, and a real immediate test for their mid-court. Loughagan out to Seymour. And a good first shot from Dean Harper. Just 21 a couple of weeks ago. So Harvey, Sanders, Southby. There's a contact against Nickel on Nick Richardson. And the Australians work it into the circle. Southby.
On the ball, goalkeeper pass.
And Vangana on the ball.
Second goalkeeper.
And the Australians level it at 1-1.
Did it a little bit tougher than the Kiwis. The Kiwis taking the direct approach to the circle.
And a turnover straight away, taken out of the hands of Robury. Harvey backs up Squire. Oh, out came Vangana to make amends.
And that's what she's known for, coming out looking for that loose ball, Vangana.
She reads the play well, and they'll be looking for some turnovers courtesy of her.
Well, both of the Australian shooters getting caught holding, can't afford to do that on Many and Vangana.
So Eloise Southby, second shot, short, gets the rebound, favoured by the bounce.
Second goalkeeper, pass or short.
And point-blank range. Oh, that's a nervous shot, but Sanders. And the contact goes against McMahon off the ball.
She was trying to come through a space that wasn't there. Many and Vangana closed it very well.
And out the back, another turnover, so Australia with a chance. Squire, and have a look at the lineups. And Southby and McMahon from the Melbourne Phoenix Club. Sanders from Thunderbirds. Richardson from Melbourne. Squire also from Thunderbirds. Harvey and Ellis. Long-time defensive duo for the Australians, and Jill McIntosh, of course, the coach. The interest is in Loughagan at goal shooter. Van Dyke not yet on, but she should come on later in the match. Robury, Seymour and Nickel, an awesome mid-court for New Zealand. Bernice Meni, the skipper, and Linda Vangana. Yvonne Willering is the coach for the Silver Ferns.
It was interesting, that last passage of play. We saw McMahon open the circle with two defenders. She exposed the middle, and that's where the Kiwis are vulnerable, particularly on the zone defence.
And the New Zealand hands up. They force the turnover. Robury, good pass to Loughagan. And Robury finds Loughagan. And she doesn't miss from there. The dual international, a basketballer for New Zealand as well.
That transition play was very quick. Robury involving herself in the double play onto the edge. And again finds Loughagan on the base. She's exposing Ellis on that baseline at the moment.
And she's very quick to get the shot away, Loughagan. She's hard to defend. Harvey. McMahon, Sanders. And the defensive work of the Kiwis is very good. Richardson. Now Southby just holding it up, and McMahon manages to split the defence there.
Once again, she came through the top, and that's where, as I said, they're very soft in that middle of the circle. They force the Australians to go wide, so the zone keeps moving from sideline to sideline.
It's McMahon playing her 25th. And a roar goes up as the Australians get another turnover. And Vicky, they really need to make the most of these. I'm surprised that the Kiwis are turning it over so softly.
Well, the Australians have managed to get their hands to a number of balls up in this forward line. Squires then on Robury, and also in the first ball that Harper touched, Harvey got a hand to it. So their delivery, because they release so low, that's where it's very easy to read.
And the defence around the circle is enormous from New Zealand, and so quick to Harper.
Fantastic play by Robury. She read it well, attacked the top of the circle. The timing was perfect from Harper.
Loughagan and Harper haven't missed. McMahon now.
On the ball, goalkeeper.
And McMahon sitting on 3 from 4 early. Southby just 1 from 3, but she'll settle into the match, one would think, and for her sake, hope. Loughagan, Seymour, and Harper just lost it for a moment, but she's goaling well.
She's very strong with that hold, Harper. She has a nice wide base. Harvey finding it difficult to get around.
Squire.
Obstruction, wing attack.
Obstruction against Robury with Squire, nearly lost it.
I think she replayed it, actually.
It felt like it, didn't it? Maybe a little fortunate. Richardson. Southby. She'd like to get this one. Oh, just bounced across the top of the ring, and She's a little unlucky.
On the ball, wing defender, Killy pass.
Penalty against Squire.
Robury's very keen to get that ball away. Great hands by McMahon. Spoils it once again.
The penalty count going heavily against the Kiwis early. 7-2. McMahon. She's the main channel for Australia early.
And she's doing the defensive work too, which Jill McIntosh would be very happy with.
Carnage, contact and offside.
Seymour.
Offside, wing attack.
Good work by Peter Squire then. She knew Robury wanted to get to the top. She cut her off, forcing her to go offside.
Well, what do you make of the first few minutes, Annie? Not quite hearing us just at the moment, but Richardson, Ellis, Harvey. It's a big pass to Southby. Cross to Sanders and backing up on the baseline, McMahon. They weren't expecting it to go that way.
Well, I think the Australians will be surprising themselves at how many times they've been able to put the ball up and over Bernice Menny.
Bernie looking very fit.
Wing attack, Killy pass.
Whereas the shooting percentage from Australia are not that great at the moment, but they still enjoy a 6-5 lead, so they've had plenty of ball. Annie Sargent, what do you make of the first 7 minutes?
Well, it's as we expected, a pretty torrid affair. New Zealand have come out pumped for this match. They are very intimidating in defence. You can see the way they are space marking, as they like to call it. They're packing the middle. They're also very impressive around the outside of the circle. There's some opening nerves for Australia, but there's also some touches of brilliance. I think it's anybody's game. Let's stay with them.
Sanders bounces it into Phoenix teammates. Southby. McMahon back to Southby. Cross to Richardson. Oh, there's some busy work going on there, and the defenders sticking with the attack as well.
It would have been great if they could have finished it off. They're very patient getting through the zone, the New Zealand zone, particularly through that centre court. Very tough.
Richardson, and good hands from Bangana. Away they come. Nickel. Harvey came out. Now that's left Ellis a little exposed, but she mans up on Lofhagen. Seymour. Back to Nickel. Now Robury. Oh, did that toe go over the line? I thought that Robury might have had the toe over the circle line, but not thought so by Prue Plummer. And that goes against Lofhagen. How'd you read it?
I thought it was a tough call. The umpire is actually caught on the baseline. Lofhagen had the ball before Ellis on that one.
Contact is against Harper. She just checks that that is so. I mean, there's great noise in here in Newcastle. A tremendous crowd. They're willing to make some noise to get the Australians home. That's a toss between Bangana and Southby.
Good challenge by Bangana and Southby.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Bangana, quick on the draw. Seymour, Nickel. Ellis!
The Australians' defensive pattern coming down court, backing each other up very well. Harvey's coming through the mid-court looking for that intercept. Ellis knew she was out of position.
That's another penalty against Harper,
With the goal
and
attack.
that's her second. Penalties 11-4 against New Zealand, so they're getting a bit of a bath from the whistleblowers. McMahon, Southby, so both goalers out. Now McMahon's in. This is where it gets tough. McMahon will run it down. Touched out by Nickel, and she was offside. McMahon. Oh, down they go, and she's got to get rid of it quickly. There's nearly a held ball. And a bit of help from the post for Bernice Menny. Robury. Seymour, strong take. Richardson right at her shoulder.
Great work by Ellis then. She had Lofhagen covered.
Barnage offside.
Lofhagen. Get the Kiwis level at 6-all.
Very strong on the hold. Very difficult to get around. Basketball background. Oh, no, still plays.
And they're looking for the lead here. Oh, how did she keep it in? Lofhagen, brilliant. And the shot not there.
Contact goalkeeper.
And contact against Ellis. So this is for the lead now. And Lofhagen misses for the first time. Squire, gee, there's hands over every pass, isn't there, Vic?
There is. Australians coming through that zone much better then, but...
Well, Seymour just picked it off, but Harvey. Southby, they just got a steady. Squire holds it up on the transverse line. Richardson. McMahon. Oh, just a loose ball there when McMahon had made herself available. Now, Southby just for a second goal.
Contact goalkeeper, pass or shot.
There was a better stretch by Wagner then. Just didn't last the distance. She has been penalised quite heavily earlier on in this quarter. Her distance has been short.
14-4 the penalty count. Sanders.
Skipping when you check, 3 parts interfered.
Step against Rebecca Sanders, playing her 21st international.
That New Zealand zone defence, they worked it very tight on the edge of the circle.
It was a great take from Squire, but she'd stepped into the circle.
Holding goal defender.
Both shooters then were rolling so much, I think they got themselves giddy. They really didn't know where the ball was. They're lucky to get out of it.
Harper, 7-all. Now the Silver Ferns with a chance again to take the lead. Oh, Ellis.
Well read by Liz Ellis.
Gee, they were open at the post. It was an important intercept from Liz Ellis. Richardson. Southby, McMahon. And the Australians are really struggling in this part of the game.
Across the top of the circle, they really are finding it difficult to find the space, get those drives in. Ellis coming out, saw that Robury had stepped on, put her under pressure.
Southby, Richardson. Oh, just getting jammed here. Sanders, great defence from the Silver Ferns. Now McMahon can have a shot. Oh, it wasn't a great one.
She was under pressure because she had to step in. Many had the shot covered from behind. When she stepped in, Wagner had it covered from the front.
Contact Sanders on Nickel. Under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. A low-scoring one, Vic. The defence is too good.
As we've seen in the last couple of times Australia and New Zealand have met, it's a very defensive game, very erratic, perhaps some of the lowest scoring games I've ever played in.
Oh, that's come all the way to Southby a little fortuitously. Sanders, now, can't escape.
Not a good play by Sanders, stepped on, put herself under pressure. Nickel was in good position and forced the error.
Bangana, Seymour. I think we've had one goal in about the last 3 minutes. Bernice Menny.
The full court pressure by the Australians is very good.
Lofthagen, it just opens up a little now with the speed and talent of Robury, but she gives it to Squire. Southby, Sanders. The Australians would love an easy passage into the circle just for once. And with the help of a penalty, this is for the lead. So McMahon on 6 from 9, Southby 2 from 5. 1:40 to go. First quarter. Southby out of her hands, no whistle. Seymour. And Dean Harper a little anxious to pull off the magic pass.
She could have actually backplayed and double played herself into the circle. All the attention was on Lofthagen. Here we go.
And another turnover against the Australians. It's been rich with errors this first quarter, but that's what these matches are all about, pressure. Richardson. Yvonne Willering said before the start of the game, it's all about errors when matches are this tight. Yeah, this is a tight one, 8-7.
Australians really need to make the most of this turnover. Need to be able to score.
McMahon will be expecting to score from there.
Again, we see that pop over out the back. I'm very surprised they're able to get that one through.
Lofthagen back out to Seymour. Harvey sticking with. And Ellis let it go. Pulled her hand away.
Seymour didn't read the roll off Lofthagen. It's a move she likes to use a lot.
Ellis. Harvey. Oh, with a prayer. Sanders back to Squire. So just 10 or so seconds left. Oh, great collision. And I don't think we'll get time for a goal here. As the timekeeper's about to get out of a chair.
Scrappy play by both teams at the moment. I don't think Yvonne Willering nor Jill McIntosh will be very happy with their play.
And that is quarter time. Boy, it's been willing. I think you age a year when you play one of these matches. We'll look at Catherine Cox. So we begin the second quarter, and Australia's made a change straight away, and Catherine Cox straight into it, getting an early touch. Sanders, Cox, seeing a little more height. And Catherine Cox, who could have played for New Zealand, out it comes. And New Zealand throw in off Australian foot.
Straight away we see the Australian shooters coming through the middle of the circle.
Many, Seymour. And the pressure is great in the centre third, both sides. Many. And running it down is Rowbury. Loughagen, Seymour. Well-placed ball, or is it? Ellis. Richardson.
I don't know where Liz Ellis came from then, but she read that well. It was a beautifully placed ball by Seymour into Harper.
Well, stats can tell you some interesting things. I'm just amazed that there were 30 turnovers between these two sides in that first 15 minutes. McMahon. Oh, it won't go.
Hesitation forced by Many, who stood behind to defend the shot.
So Southby leaves the game having shot 2 from 5. So Cox playing her 4th international. She's only played against South Africa and England, I think. This will be her first test against New Zealand. Oh, Banganar's right under McMahon there. That was potentially dangerous.
That was a superb take by McMahon.
Just dries off the shooting hand on the skirt. And a lead of 3. Well, I'll tell you, viewers, Vicky Wilson was predicting a 2-goal lead for Australia at quarter time. I don't think I better tell you the rest of their prediction.
Well, I thought there would have been a change on the New Zealand line, but there wasn't.
So they're sticking with Harper. Well taken, Alice. And she leaves Loughagen on the floor. Harvey across to Richardson. Harvey looking to back up straight away. Across to Squire. Cox. She'll be looking to make the most of this chance. A good pass to McMahon.
Again through the top of the circle. In that zone, that's where they're vulnerable. Good positioning by Ellis. Challenges Loughagen all the way and outlets it very well to Harvey.
And Annie, what do you read into this substitution?
Well, I think it's a great move by Jill McIntosh because Southby really wasn't into the game as she would have liked to be. The combination, yes, was something she understood, but it's different playing against a New Zealand press where they stand off the body, and she really was struggling to be found. McMahon is having a superb match, but I think she's enhanced by teaming up with Cox immediately with this change.
Seymour and Harper. Loughagen back to Harper. And New Zealand took, well, 3 minutes to get on the board in the second quarter. That's great defence, Australia. Squire. There's so much on these passes, really being delivered with some pep, Vic, just to try and find the target without hands getting up.
Oh, absolutely. And because New Zealand play off the body so much and they're hanging in space, you really have to put some power behind that ball.
10th goal for Sherelle McMahon from 14 attempts. Seymour. Oh, gee, that was risky. But it found the target, and Loughagen found her target.
We see that double play. Oh, it's Seymour finds Loughagen straight through Ellis and Harvey.
Sanders. Oh, risky. But Cox might get it. She does, but off a couple of pairs of hands, and Many comes up with it. Rowbury hasn't quite had the impact I thought she would. I think Anna Rowbury's one of the most talented players out there, but she's been shut down to a degree.
Yes, she has, and she's getting caught on that step on and spraying the ball.
With the ball, goal defender, penalty pass.
And that's what the Australian defenders would be relying upon. Just that inconsistency on her part.
Squire. McMahon. Oh, can she keep it in? And can Richardson? Cox back out to Squire. McMahon Splits them. Cox. She'll shoot from there.
Offside.
So Cox struggling to get into it as well at 1 from 3.
The shooters are having to do a lot of work coming outside the circle. We've had Richardson and Sanders plonked on the edge.
Loughagen, Ellis. And that'll be Australia's throw-in.
Good challenge by Ellis and Squires.
Harvey, big ball. Oh. And Banganar, big collision with McMahon, who saw head, saw hip, saw back. Ouch.
It really was a hospital pass to McMahon, running away from the ball.
And ran into Banganar. Annie.
Well, Linda Vanganar's been looking for those all match, except she's missed timing them. Of course, that was a little late, and it went straight through the body of Sharoma.
Second quarter.
Time on the whistle.
Richardson. McMahon, Cox. Good one-handed take. And it's off Banganar. I thought it might have been a bit of intimidation there nearly on the defence from the Kiwis, but not ruled as such.
It's good pressure.
Australia.
Nickel, can't believe that's another Australian throw-in.
Yep.
Felt that was off Richardson. McMahon. Back out to the centre, Richardson. A dual international herself, of course. The former Olympic softballer has a bronze medal, Nick Richardson.
Good job. Contact.
Oh, was lucky to go through. She would have got a second try. There was a contact there. And a 5-goal lead for Australia, the biggest of the match. Well done, Squire.
Great reach by Squire. Sat on the edge of the circle.
The hand just shot out. McMahon. Back to Harvey. Sanders. Cox.
Again, we see the shooters having to come outside the circle. Richardson was caught a little bit too far in the pocket for that one.
Cox. And this is a good second quarter for Australia as they build a 6-goal lead. It was only 2 at quarter time. And so Australia with 25 attempts to 12. They're quite accurate, New Zealand, just need more chances, as you see. Australia's goal shooting percentage 15% less. But the penalties hurting New Zealand, 22-9. Turnovers, there's a lot of them, but they're well shared. And a few rebounds apiece.
The Australians are combining very nicely in the circle. Cox and McMahon are starting to open up. Wagner and Many. I wouldn't be surprised if Yvonne Willering brings on Linda Charteris.
Well, Ellis and Loughagen hit the deck, but Ellis was quickly up to back up.
They're
Sanders.
having a great battle, Ellis and Loughagen.
Cox, well spotted by Nick Richardson.
Nick Richardson has been very impressive in a selection of pass tonight. She hasn't thrown any away in that forward line.
Well, there was debate about Nick Richardson coming in with just one test against Julie Seymour's 55, whether that was a mismatch. No way. Richardson's having a dream second international. Cox 5 from 8 now. At 18-9, the Kiwis are getting a bath. Harper. And Harper 6 from 8. Richardson. Sanders. McMahon. We think some of our National League matches are pretty intense, Vicky, but this is another level, isn't it, as you know?
It always is, Steve. And a player like Sharon McMahon and Catherine Harvey, Liz Oswald, all the girls, they just play so much better, or they just seem to improve whenever they step out in the green and gold.
Jill McIntosh, we caught a shot of. I think she's got the earpiece in. She'd have Lisa Behag, her assistant, up in the stand somewhere, getting a different perspective on it, Vic. And Yvonne Willering. Yvonne and Jill McIntosh have built up their own rivalry over the last few years. Cox! Oh, yes! When she's hot.
The great thing about Catherine Cox, she goes straight to the post, doesn't hesitate.
And Australia by 10, so they're 11-3 in this quarter. Cox to Richardson. McMahon.
Obstruction, win defense.
Obstruction against Nickel.
They're prepared to work the ball around. It's a lot easier getting the ball in the circle this quarter.
Cox with that confidence building. Calm as you like out there, and there's a happy bench. The medical staff, Sue White, Leanne McKelso, able to enjoy the moment a little more. And perhaps the worried coaching staff. Great pass, Roby to Seymour.
Extra attention by Harvey and Ellis on the two shooters. There was a great pass from Roby to Seymour at the top of the circle. The Kiwis do that very well, that bounce pass.
I'm sure Harvey thought, this is a match where I'm going to try and sort out my younger opponent in Harper. Boom. Oh.
Harvey's trying to come through the gap. She got both of them in one go.
I think there's only room for one player in there, not four. Annie, some great contests out there.
Oh, it's brilliant, Steve. What's incredible, too, is the difference in umpiring from the World Championship final. You remember there was a lot of body and a lot of whistle in that final. I think it's a superb effort from both umpires. They're allowing the contest, but they're also picking up stuff that's dangerous play and keeping it clean. So that's a really special difference in it. The other thing that's impressive is the introduction of Cox has opened up, and I really love the way Nikki Richardson is staying out of the play a little to allow Sanders the mid-court and the feeding role around the circle.
Shot from New Zealand. I absolutely agree about the umpiring. I think we've jumped the right way having one New Zealand and one Australian umpire, because our umpires, quite frankly, are the best in the world.
Well, they can cope with this level of play. The umpires we had in the World Championship final just didn't know what was going on.
They didn't, and in Joan Hodson, you've got someone who's played at this level. She played 38 tests for New Zealand, retired in '93, and in Prue Plummer for Australia, you also got another outstanding international umpire who know what this level's all about. Oh, great take from Harper, who's an outstanding athlete.
She can actually play both ends of the court. She runs a goal defence role for her National League team back home.
So Harvey, the Kiwis getting a couple of settlers. The Australians will want to be next to score. I would suggest, although 4:30 left in the second quarter and the lead is 10.
The Kiwis becoming a little bit frustrated.
Cox. Looked like it was going to go. Roby, Loughagen, and a touch from Squire.
Roby didn't get that drive onto the circle edge. She was prepared to offload and just sit back. They really needed her to come through to the top.
Oh, Seymour. Well, does that constitute a replay? It doesn't matter.
She got what it deserved. A great intercept by Peter Squires.
Oh, his hand on that from Bunganar. So McMahon gets her 13th.
We see Peter Squire getting the hand to the pass of Seymour to Roby as the girls go down court nice and strong. Sanders involved in the double play.
Richardson down and up, contesting everything. Very impressed with the Australian mid-court effort to run with Roby, Seymour and Nicol. It's brilliant. 166 caps in the New Zealand mid-court, 34 in Australia's. You'd argue 5 times the experience, but Richardson, Sanders and Squire holding up beautifully. Cox. McMahon charges at the ball.
Wagner's timing just isn't there. There's a long 3 seconds on McMahon's shot, and even Southee's in the first quarter. She's just not reading it quite well right at the moment.
Roby, Seymour. Oh, Squire! Sanders, Richardson. Cox around the corner. Cox, very physical circle, and she's standing up to it well, Catherine Cox.
Indeed she is, but it's great timing on Nick Richardson's part then. She's not coming in and cramping that goal third. We see Squire's getting that hand out. She's looking for the ball off the centre courts.
Peter Squire, 8 intercepts, staggering out of Australia's 13. McMahon. Oh, that's her elevation for you, but she was just out the back of the court. Gee, she gets up.
Superb athlete, Cheryl McMahon, very strong.
And that'll be against McMahon.
Perhaps trying a little bit too hard. Was never going to get that one.
12 penalties against Whanganā out of their 33 to Australia's 12. So a little lack of discipline at times. Oh, Squire again.
She had Robury covered all the way. That was a poor pass by Nicol.
She's been into some of these New Zealand training sessions. She's reading the play beautifully. Richardson swings it to Sanders. Cox. Now, oh, that was a little too cheeky. It's a bit early in the game to be trying those.
McMahon should have pulled that one in. It was a nice pass by Cox, straight through Many and Whanganā.
Seymour. So a minute to go in the second. Robury. Stones would love to stop New Zealand scoring here, but it'll be hard now as Harvey loses a footing and putting it through as Dean Harper.
That was great work by Liz Ellis. She had Donna Loughagen covered on every move. Then the Kiwis had to really play it around.
So just another chance for the Kiwis. Just take something out of the lead, and Yvonne Willering is pleased with that effort. They get it back to 10. A good finish to the quarter from them. So can Australia answer? Sanders. Cross to Cox. Waiting outside the circle. And another penalty against Many.
You could see McMahon was telling Richardson where to put the ball. Richardson perhaps hung on to it for a little bit too long. Also on the centre passes, Australians are prepared to come through the back line and to let their forward line go down and penetrate the circle edge.
And the timekeeper gets up, so can the Australians stop the Silver Ferns scoring again and take an 11-goal lead into half-time? It'll be quite an achievement. They do. I don't think the Kiwis knew that the clock was ticking off. So we're right for the second half to begin. It'll be Australia in possession with Nick Richardson. And Australia not making any changes in the long break, not with that second quarter going so well. And out to Harvey. There you go. Squire. And who's first to it? Timapara George, one of the new players on, replacing Anna Robury at wing attack. And over the top for Irene van Dijk into the game, playing her first test for New Zealand. And gets her first attempt.
See Nicol going on to Timapara George. Didn't even hesitate, just put the ball straight up to Van Dijk. Seymour to Van Dijk. And a good split. And straight away, she's making a difference. And 26-17, Australia. So Van Dijk in at goal shooter. Loughagen drops out to goal attack with Harper being replaced. Timapara George came on for Anna Robury at wing attack. And in the defensive end, Bernice Many from goal defence back to goalkeeper, a position she's well familiar with. And Belinda Charteris, formerly Belinda Blair, and daughter of New Zealand netballer Judy, comes on at goal defence. McMahon backs up the spill. Harvey, Sanders, Richardson. So 26-17, a couple of unanswered goals from the Kiwis to start the third quarter. Great athletic leap from McMahon.
Goal defence obstruction.
She's really milking that 3 seconds, isn't she?
Obstruction goalkeeper, pass or shot.
But as long as Many and now Charteris and before her Whanganā give away the penalties.
As we see, Sanders puts the ball over Many's head. Oh, and Charteris as well.
So, Seymour, Charteris, oh, Timapara George made herself very available. And the throw-in is Australia's. So George is probably as quick as Anna Robury, but Timapara George hasn't played a lot at this level. Came into the side a couple of years ago. In fact, came to Australia, didn't play in the series a few years back. And this is her first international, in fact. Harvey. Oh.
That's a second touch by Loughagen. She's doing a lot of damage out in the midcourt.
George. Richardson to Ellis. Harvey. Oh, and wide open at the post is Cox. And Australia gets just their second of the quarter.
This is one of Harvey's favourite moves, the long ball into the exposed shooter. Many came out looking for the ball off McMahon.
So Annie Sargent, I guess Yvonne Willering had to do what she's done.
Well, of course, and Jill McIntosh would have expected the change. The New Zealand bench left well before half-time, and of course Van Dijk was to be the answer. Ironically, Yvonne Willering said to the Silver Ferns, don't panic, there is time to address this. And I think there still is a big sense of panic out there, trying to rush the ball down court when they just need to work it steadily and use their skills.
Still turnovers aplenty. George, Van Dijk, and the throw-in is Australia's.
Good positioning by Ellis there. The ball needed more height from George.
Oh, Harvey and Seymour. Throw-in is Australia's. Lost the ball for a moment. It's under the commentary desk. You haven't got it, have you, Vic? Here it is.
Where you are.
Harvey. There's a bit of risk attached to that pass, but the Kiwis held out of the challenge. McMahon, as Many runs into her, no whistle.
Obstruction goalkeeper, cancel shot.
Now the obstruction from Many, and now the goal from McMahon.
And now we're starting to see the shooter-to-shooter move. Cox onto McMahon or McMahon onto Cox. That's what's going to expose the defenders.
McMahon just giving Leslie Nichol a quick wrap around the front to remind her she's there. Not too many favours being done out there, Vic.
It's tough all the way.
Oh, they could have auctioned at McMahon and Cox.
Goal defender.
And in the end, it's another goal to the Australians, and 29-17.
Richardson winds it up. She had a choice. Good screen in the end by Cox for McMahon.
Did she know she was screening her?
I don't think so.
Seymour, Nichol. And that New Zealand midcourt not looking quite as sharp as it was in the first 5 minutes. George back out to Nichol. Back they go.
It really is very static in the forward line for the Kiwis.
This was always going to be the question. How do they use Van Dijk? And the crowd applauding the defensive effort.
Superb effort by the Australian back line. They had the Kiwis backpedaling all the way.
It's an educated crowd here. They know good defence when they see it.
We see it going back to Charteris, over to George. They really had nowhere to go. It wasn't a definite drive off George or Seymour.
So Irene Van Dijk not having the happiest of starts. She's got a couple of goals, but I guess she would have viewed this as her first chance to beat Australia.
I think she would be quite disappointed at the moment the ball isn't being released into her.
Contact goalkeeper.
And Many has absolutely flattened Kath Cox, who hasn't gone down well.
Here we see Catherine Cox driving to the post and just got squashed onto the goalpost by Bernie Many.
Well, you've played on Bernie many times, Vic. She's a tough customer.
A great player. It's a great challenge whenever you step down on court to play against Bernie.
Seymour bypasses Van Dijk to Lofhagen, and she's well short. New Zealand throw-in. Ellis, not quite a clean take. And Silver Ferns need one here. George. Harvey.
The placement by the Kiwis isn't that great. George and Seymour both have gone off their game slightly. Just can't find the right pass.
Advantage contact.
Van Dijk needs to run that down. Contact against Ellis.
That was a bad pass by George. Took Van Dijk right out of the circle. She was on a good stronghold at the top.
So the Australians get set. Ellis works her way back into the circle.
That was amazing play by the Kiwis. They had a 2-on-1 situation. They didn't put it in.
Well, I just wonder what they were thinking. They've been rattled a little by this effort, largely in the second quarter from Australia, but the lead now 14. Harvey! Well, Harvey and Squire have had a whale of a game. So's Ellis in defence.
Defence offside, free pass inside Australia.
Harvey comes through, see Charteris winds up for the long ball into George. George was standing still, didn't offer a strong lead, and Harvey read it well.
Well, Kath Harvey's had a quite amazing fortnight, hasn't she? Got engaged about 10 days ago. This is her first test against as captain. Vicky Wilson's nearly knocked me out of a chair. She didn't know.
She's not in the circle yet.
Yes, she got engaged to Corey Williams. And it's a wedding later in the year for Harvey. And Sanders to Cox. McMahon strongly holds her feet. And gets the ball back from Sanders quicker than she was expecting.
Passing shot, passing shot.
I'll retake the shot. Jill McIntosh will be inwardly very pleased, I think.
Well, I think she can start smiling now. The Australian team are dominating all over the court.
Well, I don't think she would have expected this kind of dominance. She would have hoped for it, asked for it, and they have delivered. Remember that Australia started that World Championship final with Wilson, Delaney, O'Donnell and Toms as the front four. Totally changed. Van Dyke.
It's interesting that play. Van Dyke involved herself in the play, came out of the circle. Well, the ball's not being delivered to her. She'll have to go hunting for it.
Advantage obstruction, wing attack.
And Kiwis won the Cup last February, it was. February last year. They beat Australia by 12. One of their best wins against the Australians. Oh, in goes Meni on McMahon.
McMahon has that uncanny ability to hang in the air. And Bernie Meni just came straight through. We've seen Meni going back for the ball, McMahon going straight up. That was the difference. That's why she drew the penalty.
Now this quarter is 8-3 favouring Australia. Remembering the Kiwis got the first two of the quarter. So that's an 8-1 response from Australia. Cox.
The Kiwis look very unsettled, particularly in their forward line. The centre court just don't seem to be able to get the drive into the goal third.
Good, yeah, thanks. Advantage offside wing.
They're getting lots of turnovers. They just can't seem to capitalise on them.
Squire had a dip. George secure with it. Seymour. And again, they have to go back to go forward. Temapara George, Seymour. They're just stuck. This time they find Irene Van Dyke, and her quick shooting style brings the reward.
I don't think Van Dyke and Lofhagen have got that understanding in the circle yet. They haven't found that space to provide an option for the centre court.
Sanders all the way back to Squire, just using the width of the court through. Picked off by Meni. That was a low percentage attempt.
I think that was the first poor pass by Richardson into the circle.
Harvey, calm as you please, takes it. She thought about letting it run out, I think, but was able to take it comfortably in the end.
The Kiwis, again, somewhat frustrated. Nothing seems to be going their way. Donna Lofhagen gave Harvey a nudge as she came through for that intercept.
Sanders. Oh, Richards. Lucky to take that. McMahon shoots Cox a little look and said that wasn't quite the option.
Oh, I think it was more she couldn't believe she didn't catch it because she really should have pulled it in.
You think? Okay, I'll take that back. Up goes Alice. And Irene Van Dyke protects it well. Oh, she put Lofhagen under some pressure there, but a penalty against Ellis frees up Donna Lofhagen. And they get to 20.
Hard to believe the Kiwis are only sitting on 20 goals in the third quarter, halfway through the third quarter.
Well, nearly just 3 minutes to go in the third, Vic. It's worse than it looks. Cox. And Mickle gives away a clumsy one. Oh, players hitting the deck everywhere. McMahon to shoot over Charteris. Well, they can play it as physical as they like, the Silver Ferns. They're not going to get much joy out of this very settled, composed lineup.
Well, they're about 2 paces behind the Aussies. They're just chasing at the moment.
I think Squire, Harvey, what this says about the Australian depth, Vic, is that our National League gives these players an intensity that allows them to step up to this level reasonably readily.
Oh, absolutely. The National League is a great competition, but playing those tough games week in, week out really has put the Australians in good stead for this match.
Cox is having one of the games of her life, I think, just playing a 4th test. And what a cauldron to throw her into. Australia's struggling a little bit at quarter time, and she's really stood up well.
I'm particularly pleased with the way Catherine Cox has involved herself in the game, coming out of the circle. She's mixing it up, working the holds, the strong leads.
Can't live up to our big rap on her just at the crucial moment, but that takes nothing away from the strong game she's had. So Charteris. McMahon throws an arm at, but it's for Seymour now. Charteris. Temapara George. Van Dyke, good take, one hand, Irene. A long arm serving her well. And it's New Zealand throw in. Kath Harvey was hoping might have gone the other way, and she pulled out of the chase. It made no protest.
Just step from the corner, sideline. Yep.
15 Australia's lead, 90 seconds left, third quarter. Van Dyke, long bomb. Harvey's rebound. Place it around the post.
It's interesting, once your mid-court starts struggling, how the shooters lose their rhythm. They're not getting as many shots, not feeling settled in their play.
Timing's not there.
Not quite. Oh, McMahon was coming through like a steam train then.
McMahon has it now. Charteris holds off the challenge. And a smile from Sherelle McMahon. And the packed house here at the Entertainment Centre. Well, could only have hoped for this kind of performance from the Australians. They got it. George. Seymour. Over the top, Ellis. Oh, she did well, but Lofhagen was first onto it.
Perhaps Don Lofhagen is used to being the post shooter, taking that back position. We have both Lofhagen and Van Dyke wanting to assume that spot, and they really do need a driving shooter there.
Timekeeper's getting up, and the ball's been thrown away. This will make it very difficult for the Australians to get another goal here. McMahon, and she looks at the umpire hoping for a smiling Catherine Harvey and Peter Squire. Well, two of South Australia's finest, and they have been part of the solid platform that has seen a victory built here, one would think, with Catherine Cox. Well, just a great game. Not quite ready for the restart, as Julie Seymour has the match ball in hand. We're waiting for someone to do up their shoes. At Leslie Nichol, I think. Wipes the floor after she's had a knee down on it. Okay, now she's right. Former captain. So Seymour gets them underway in the last. And Australia's lead 15. They put Rowbury back on, Vicky, and you pretty much predicted that in the break.
Really had to. George really wasn't very effective in that quarter. Really struggled, didn't get the drives. Struggling to combine with Seymour, and in fact affected Seymour's game considerably. So getting the first goal of the last quarter, the Kiwis. McMahon, no changes. Oh, many right in under Sanders. Riding the body goal defender. A clear call from Prue Plummer, and again just emphasise what a good job the umpires have done in such an intense and physical match. McMahon, plenty of time to consider the shot. Rowbury. Richardson had a try. She's got some height on Dawson. Sorry, she was Julie Dawson. She's Seymour now. And Julie Seymour, one of the best 800 runners in New Zealand. In fact, the second best. She's an amazing middle distance athlete. So she'll run all day. And she's in peak fitness, that's for sure. I think she looks better now than what she did at World Championships last year, and at World Champs she was in awesome form.
It would be a hard case to mount saying that she'd shaded Richardson today. Loose ball, New Zealand throw in.
Peter Squires wouldn't be happy with that pass.
Many, cross to Nichol. Seymour. Oh, Ellis. Irene Van Dyke just lost away there. She'd nearly lose her footing.
Both of them are looking at the floor, believing that it's a little bit slippery.
Someone had been down in the circle there, left a bit of perspiration on the floor, perhaps, with Cox. Richardson, good take.
Obstruction, wing defense.
So Cox. That is such a nonchalant action.
Time, please.
We see here we've got Van Dijk coming out of the circle. Just didn't read it well, I don't think.
The timing not quite right.
Yeah.
But they have wiped the floor at that end, so you may have picked it, Vic. They're not happy with the surface. McMahon, nearly a held ball. And Harvey had to be quick with Robury with her. Richardson swings it across to Sanders.
They've got good width in their attack and the Australian team. Been able to use the entire court all night.
And that one's run under Kath Cox, so Robury with those quick hands. Irene Van Dijk.
That's the New Zealand team that we know, bringing it down very quickly through that transition phase.
I don't think Jill McIntosh will be pleased if the Silver Ferns win the last quarter.
But we see Nickel driving the ball down. Quick hands from Robury onto Lofhagen, who puts the ball through to Van Dijk.
Irene with another shot. Out it comes. A tip from Ellis to Harvey. Gee, they combine well. A rocket pass from Richardson to Sanders. There's a bit of softball about that. And Cox! Oh, beauty!
Turns and goes straight to the post, Catherine Cox.
And Australia hits 40. McMahon, hands up, almost didn't want it, except she was fearing a short pass. Richardson. Oh, again drives a hot pass at Catherine Cox, who's got it back through Sanders. Goals. Bit of an exhibition, Vic.
Oh, it is. It's good to watch.
Ellis! You can't offer her that kind of look. Harvey.
There was a good drive by Rebecca Sanders. She took the body on, tried the front cut. Nickel got caught behind.
McMahon and Cox might shoot from there too. She's confident. Short. My rebound, thank you. This time.
Again, we see the shooter-to-shooter combination opening up Charteris and Manny.
I guess the shooting positions are up for grabs in Australian netball, Vic, with you retiring and Jackie Delaney recovering from a knee injury. So Catherine Cox really standing up here.
Great approach play by the Australians, started by Catherine Harvey. The double play gave the Australian team the speed they needed.
So Cox gets another, and Anne Sargent, I know you'll be well pleased to watch this display from Catherine Cox.
It's a superb effort from the Australian team. In particular, they went out and did what Catherine Harvey acknowledged they were going to do, full court defence, and that has laid the foundation to halt New Zealand's play and allow Australia to do what they want to do. The shooting combination has worked beautifully since Cox entered the game. She's been both individually brilliant and, of course, teaming up with McMahon well. But as we mentioned, we were worried about the midcourt, and I think Richardson has played a steady, sensible game, allowing Sanders to do most of the feeding role. Of course, the back line, what can you say? It's been breathtaking. New Zealand really lost the wheels when they made the midcourt changes in that third quarter.
And they force another error. I just wonder whether Harvey is really piloting a match here similar to the way the Thunderbirds play, because just set up on a defensive effort that she and Sutter provide. And it's happening again because she's got Squire with her.
The defensive pairing of Ellis and Harvey is one of the great combinations we've seen for Australia, but put Squires in there, who really is maturing every time she steps out on court for Australia.
Or risky ball, and Minnie. She nearly got it. And Australia's lead 19 now. Richardson into McMahon. And 20 the lead.
McMahon doesn't get taken by Charteris, sitting down on that crouch on the defence of the shot.
We were a little surprised before the match, Vic, that you can bet on netball these days, that the bookies were offering $3 or so for a New Zealand win. We thought that was extraordinary, but I think the bookies knew more than we did. And Jill McIntosh still Just keeping it all inside, but I think there'll be a big smile in about 8.5 minutes. Certainly there was a feeling around netball that this might be New Zealand's turn, with so many changes to the Australian lineup. Cox. And she's shooting well. 20 from 28. Missed a couple of early ones, but very steady since. And McMahon has built up to over 80%. Back out to Richardson. Back into McMahon. Short, and Charteris takes one comfortably. Oh, Harvey all but had it.
See how high up court Donna Lofhagen was. Brought Harvey into the play. Lofhagen going out looking for the ball.
Well,
as is Van Dyke.
Well, that had to be contact against Liz Ellis, so they're short back there. Australia, to New Zealand aren't short, not with Irene Van Dyke at 190 centimetres. And we'll have a look at New Zealand. See, Lofhagen restricted to 7 from 10. That's incredible.
Particularly since she's been the spearhead for the New Zealand attack for a number of years now. She really is a quality shooter, and for her to only have that many attempts would be disappointing.
I think it just underlines what you said, that what the game that Ellison, Harvey and Squire have had, well, maybe it's the best yet. Touch from many. Charteris, big effort. And she just about runs into the dressing rooms in an effort to catch it. 11 the lead, under 7 to go. A rare treat for Newcastle netball fans, and it's a big district for the sport. And they've sold out the venue, and the Australian players have rewarded them with a mighty display. Seymour. Charteris.
Robery got caught on the 40-metre sprint coming from one sideline to the other. Really needed to change the pace.
One against Darby. Lofhagen's not happy. So Lofhagen just with her 8th goal. I wonder when that was last the case for her. Maybe when she only played 1 quarter.
I would say so.
Cox put Richardson under some pressure, unfortunately.
A little bit untidy in there in the last few times down court.
Nicol and Harvey, big collision. Well, there are 4 disappointed Australians.
You see Harvey coming out looking for the ball. Nicol going in blind. Harvey did try to pull out.
I was going to say that, you know, Megan Anderson, Sharon Finnan, Alex Hodge and Janine Illich not getting a look in today.
Jill McIntosh electing to run the line.
Fair enough too, I think, with already so many changes. As Irene Van Dyke, that was off her hand last. And the Australians sweeping down court. Cox just having to hold it up. Sanders.
She's working overtime tonight, Sanders. Yes. Continually re-offering. Working the edge of the circle, going from the top to the pocket.
Nice try, Catherine Cox. But she was out, or leaping from out of court. Back in. Nicol, good skills. Seymour, 47-27.
Great hands by Harvey. Low release off Lofhagen. Harvey forced the turnover.
McMahon. Oh. And that's against Charteris. Taken out of Kath's hands, Kath Cox.
Hard to read. The space was there, and then all of a sudden I thought Charteris closed it.
So this is Australia at the moment with a lead of 21. Australia's biggest victory over New Zealand since 1996. Australia won 56-35 in the 3rd test in Australia. Been rather closer since then. Cox. Oh, many. McMahon was spotted by Cox, but many spotted what was on.
It's a great drive by McMahon, never on, off Cox.
Sanders back into McMahon. She'll get this. 26 from 34.
The timing very good by Sanders.
And by Harvey.
Harvey's just having a great game out there, reading it well, involving herself in both the attack and defence.
Richardson and McMahon works around the front position on Charteris to shoot and goal.
McMahon's speed is just too much for Charteris to handle at the moment.
Richardson, McMahon. And Richardson again. Well, that's risky.
I was about to say, I would be interested to know how many times McMahon has handled the ball tonight. She's offering on centre passes, outside the circle and in.
I think that's a stat no statistician could keep track of because she handles the ball so quickly and so often.
I think it's a great challenge.
Jenny Webster, away you go. Our statistician tonight doing a great job for us. Harvey, and just 2 minutes 40 to go. The Australians have hit 50 and a 22-goal lead. Will it be 23? Catherine Cox answers that question. Julie Seymour, as the Silver Ferns look for a couple to finish the match.
That was better positioning by Van Dijk. Then she gave herself enough space along the baseline. The approach play was very direct by the Kiwis.
McMahon. Harvey.
Again, we see Richardson hanging out on the sideline.
Rowbury first to it. And the timeout not really helping Australia. They've just slightly gone off the boil. A little mistake, a couple of New Zealand goals. And the score just looks that little bit better at 51-30 with 75 seconds to go. Seymour to Rowbury. I think the newer players in the Australian lineup tonight, Vicky, will be so pleased that they've done so well and said, I've got my hand up, pick me.
Particularly Nicole Richardson, as we said, she's played a very steady game, very strong, hasn't got in the way, and that's what I think a good centre does. They don't become the focal point. They trail in very well, and she's done that nicely. Also, Catherine Cox has stood up and delivered, combining very well with Sherelle McMahon, and also Sanders not being in that starting role, and change of position for her, moving to the wing attack when she normally runs in the centre position for her National League team.
You look at Nick Richardson's situation in netball, realise that her softball career really impinged on what might have been, although, of course, Carissa Toms has kept more than the odd centre out of international netball for Australia, hasn't she, for quite a long time. But Nick Richardson's 30 next week, and she's playing just a second test. McMahon is a good turnover, but they've got no numbers up front. Cox.
They're coming through now.
And that's Australia's throw-in. Plummer nearly got mixed up there.
What Nick Richardson offers is this side is some height and extra strength on the edge of the circle.
So just seconds left. Australia 23 in front at the moment. Seymour, Nicol, Rowbury, and still the defensive effort in the middle. Huge from Australia. Van Dijk to Seymour, Rowbury into Loughagan, and that goal I don't think will count. No goal at the end. I'm sure the whistle went, but we're waiting for a signal from the umpires.